Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another scene set in Orlando, or rather, Unmask Orlando. It is another beautiful summer evening set in the humid, hot, drenching state of Florida. And Vance has contacted Alexandra, his clanmate, inviting her to a bus station within his domain. One of the many establishments within Orlando that he's gotten his fangs into ever since he arrived here just a few months ago. Vance has been a very busy boy. And he tells you to meet with him at this bus station at 11 p.m. sharpish. He's had the cameras to the office turned off for a couple of hours, has it on a loop, something else. Everything has been accounted for your arrival.
Nice.
And as Alexandra drives or is driven in,
No, she drives.
she will
I like to be
see
driven.
as she parks either at the back or the front. Several buses stationed away, parked in their respective areas, perfectly in line with each other. Various coaches that could use some work have likely been used for well over a decade now. And the wear and tear is beginning to show on all of the vehicles. Even the building, public services has never been Orlando's greatest strength. But it is something. And as you approach, you'll find the door conveniently unblocked.
I assume there is place to park there, right?
Of course. There are a few parking spaces, all of which are empty now, as the bus stations had long since closed. But somehow Vance still has access.
Okay, so I'll park. This pretty okay car for the time, I suppose.
It looks out of place when
Of course, it
compared to the
looks out of place.
buses. Such a beautiful upper class vehicle does not really belong in the hub of public transportation compared to the slick and elegant design of the vehicle. The buses look
Well, that's
worn.
what we have, though.
They look worn, chunky, and rather ugly in comparison to your car. But yes, it's not a long walk up to the office. It's a large foyer.
Yeah, and I'm wearing jeans, see?
Good for you. As you walk up the steps, the lifts slash elevators have been put out of order. They don't appear to be working.
That's fine, I'll take the stairs.
One of the lights flickers ever so slightly as you walk up. Looks like they could change one of the bulbs as you head up to the station manager's office.
I'll knock on the door.
You hear a chair swivel and someone leap up to their feet. And then the casual thumping of footsteps that up towards the door. A couple of locks get turned, and then the door handle moves, and the door opens, revealing Vance. He's just wearing a brown bomber jacket,
Brown.
and a white shirt with a bullseye on it.
Brown. Anyway, I'll get over that. That was out of character, by the way.
Evening, madam. Welcome to my fine establishment. I'm sure it has met all of your standards.
Hi, Vance.
What's up, of course. What's up, Alex?
I assume this place is safe?
Kidding me? I've been running this place for months. Jesus Christ, the buses wouldn't work on time without me.
Well, good to hear, even though I'm not the bus person personally.
Well, no, you have a nice car. Might want to be careful. Could get hot wired. It's a rough neighborhood.
Let them try.
I mean, I'd bet money. Anyway, come on in. He'll close the door behind you and turn the locks back up. There is a small black chair that you can sit down on. It's in front of this rather boring looking desk. Looks like it's the same desk that's been used
For 50 years, probably.
for like 30 years. Yeah. The light hovers a little bit lower than it should, but it's a little bit brown in the eyes. But other than that, everything's fine. There is actually a fairly decent view, actually, as you're up a couple of floors. Overlooks the bus station. You can actually see your car. You can see that Vance, as you, but the view is spoiled as Vance just kind of closes the blinds. Actually, but before he does, you know, he'll turn you and say, "Like the view? Nah, no."
Well, let's keep the eyes on the car just in case.
Yeah, that way I can leap out a window and break the masquerade to stop your car thief.
That won't be necessary.
I mean, you know,
That won't be necessary.
if you think you can get down there faster. Man, the way I talk about it, it's almost as if I'm planning to steal it or something. Anyway.
I don't know, are you?
I mean, don't put it past me. But he sits down on a swivel chair. Again, it's like a swivel chair that's probably been used like for 5+ years. It's one of those like plastic swivel chairs with like a naff blue cushioning on it. So yeah, how's it been going? Are you new to the city? I don't remember seeing you in the war.
It's because I wasn't here during the war.
Oh, so you're 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 one of the how to say I mean like the basically the one of the people that the cam's encouraging to come in, repopulate the
Not
cityscape.
exactly.
No,
I wouldn't go that far, no.
it's usually how it goes. The camera will take a city, and then they want camera to inhabit it. It's pretty standard
Yes,
practice.
usually, but usually it's not that fast. Usually they wait for a few years to establish themselves.
If that were true, does that just take it back in a year?
I didn't hear what you said.
He says, if that were true, wouldn't this about just take it back in a year? Besides, there's a chance for neonates like me to flex their wings, to finally fledge, as it were.
I suppose you're right. So, and she's gonna open her purse and take out a cigarette case because that's how we do it. And we'll offer a cigarette.
Oh, thanks. This is the first time somebody's actually offered me one of those in this city. I feel like I'm the only guy who smokes.
Well, I smoke on occasion. Decorum and all that.
What? All right. I mean, it's just style for me.
Well, it brings some memories to me.
I mean, teach their own.
Anyway, she'll pull out a Zippo later and light you up, and then light her own cigarette. So, Vance, what's the real deal in this city?
The real deal. Well, the real deal is how much domain I was fucking given by the prince for just shooting up a few sabat. Goddamn. But real deal. Well, let's see. Personally, landscape's changed a little bit since the war, so I'm still figuring out a few things myself, but I think I got a lay of the land. You've got you got the new prince because the last one got his ass assassinated. Um,
Yeah, I heard about that.
yeah, it's a real shame. I cried for weeks.
Come now.
I mean, it's sad that a Camarilla elder died and all that, but I mean, it's not like there was that much love lost between them
Any,
and most
any
people.
idea who killed him?
Nah, we all think it's about though.
Hmm. I don't know. I have some other theories.
I mean, it could be a few people. I mean, it's about our obvious suspects, most likely to be them. But if someone wanted the prince dead, they would probably kill him during the transition because it's the perfect way to scapegoat the Sabat and put it off on somebody else. But currently, there's no one really pointing in direction. Was nothing really pointing in the direction of anybody other than the Sabat. So that's kind of everybody's opinion right now. We'll be happy.
Oh well, I guess if we were to find out, we will someday.
We got kicked out of my own hangout. What the hell?
How how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, let's just say, yeah, that's kind of everybody's opinion. To be honest, if there was somebody else behind it, and it wouldn't necessarily surprise me, I would absolutely love to know who it was, because if we've got more big bads in the city, I mean, I'd really love to know so I can go shoot them in the face, but it's neither here nor there right now.
Indeed, I'm more interested about our own clan.
Hmm.
How many of us are there? You're muted.
Well, we got a very, very reclusive elder who doesn't want to fucking talk to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Seems very interested. I was going to say in politics, but frankly, seems everything. Seems like the old idealist type of like, I'm going to sit here and do the scholarly thing, but not actually do anything practical or useful. So you got that. So, and I mean, he hasn't taken up a primogen position. He's just, seemingly refusing to engage.
So he just exists without any purpose or saying anything.
Oh, no. He definitely has a purpose. He's just not telling anyone. But
strange, because when I asked the prince about other members of my clan, he didn't even mention that person.
that is odd. But then again, I'd be inclined to forget about him as well. He's bloody old though, so I wouldn't go, just pissing all over his shoes to see if you get a response. I might have a chat with him at some point. I don't really expect much, but it's worth just double checking, see if he's okay. To be honest, it would be worth sticking together, because if he does die and someone decides to take his face, as it were, we wouldn't really be none the wiser. And I don't really want that going down on my watch. So
I agreed. So are you telling me that at the moment it's just the four of us? How many did we lose?
I mean, this war's been going on for fucking ages. A lot of Brujah have died in this conflict. Probably more. Actually, no, I can tell you right now. Ain't been more who died. Ain't been more in this war who suffered than the Brujah or the Gangrel. Which, is pretty typical cam bollocks, if you ask me.
Well, isn't that always the case?
Yeah, they always expect us to fucking, pick up the fucking sword and go fight for them. But, it's always the venture who wind up with a princedom. How about that? Of course, this time it's a Tremere, which is arguably even fucking worse. But I don't actually think he's the one in charge, to be honest.
Well, I don't particularly have any love for the Tremere, I'll tell you that much. However, I think that we'll have an easier time with this prince than we would have with a Ventru.
I mean, he seems bloody reasonable for a Tremere. I have to reckon he's probably not that high up on their little command structure.
Well, I don't know that much about their hierarchy, but what I do know is that a few glimpses that he's not as strict as he wants to appear. Like, he's trying hard, I believe, to look like a Ventru with like a big stick up his ass, but the stick isn't really there.
Yeah, that's why I say I think he's low down on the food chain.
Yeah, and I mean, that might be a good thing after all. You got a big chunk from what I hear.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely workable. You can definitely work with him. I think he's not as bad as I thought he was going to be. Although, then again, I don't necessarily think he's really in charge. To be honest, I think his uh, his uh, his
Yeah,
his
about
bedfellow
this.
Wink is the one really calling the shots. If you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
what's your opinion of her?
Well, she doesn't. She strikes me as a bit more traditional than, and much more stickler for a Camarilla convention. Uh, Pretty aggressive, kind of an asshole. But she's got how to say?
Charm?
Oh, no. She has
Well, I can tell you what I've observed.
no, she seems to have a thing for certain political issues. It's interesting.
Yes. Well, there is one thing that she said that really bothered me during the meeting that we had that you did not attend. I suppose I have to brief you on that as well, since we're at it. But
What's the meeting?
about this raid that we're planning on the Sabbat, we're still waiting for some intel before we finalize our plans.
I thought we were going to meet with the sheriff about that.
Well, she was present. She was presiding over the meeting, let's say.
Right.
But we'll talk more about that later. Now, about Katya herself, she did mention that they would send their own ghouls for some surveillance of the area. And she seemed more than willing to let them walk to their deaths like they were nothing. And that really bothered me a lot. Like, she
Well, I
doesn't
mean,
seem to have much concern for human life.
she's a Camarilla elder. What are you expecting? Like, this is normal. This is pretty par for the course. I
Well,
mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad you're pissed off. I wouldn't be surprised.
well, there are other elders out there, but that have more regard for their own ghouls, no less. But anyway, this is the thing that bothered me. Other than that, there are a couple of things that I've observed that tell some tales. For example, her whole demeanor changes with Arjun.
Oh yeah, they're fucking.
Well, apart from that, though, she seems to be sensitive on certain matters.
That's what I mean. Like when the whole when she was talking about when I was talking about that what happened at the I bar when that one ghoul was
Mm-hmm.
straight up trying to kidnap a woman from a bar. I gave that bartender real shit, by the way. Like, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, just standing there, like literally, a kidnapping is taking place right in front of you in your fucking bar, and you're like, oh, this seems okay, cunt. Um,
I
but
couldn't agree more.
was
Well, I assume that you've had some bad experiences in her life, don't we all?
well, that's why I think. I think this is her trying to retain what little vestige of her remains. I mean, you can tell she's pretty far gone, if you know what I mean.
Well, I believe that there is some other part that will probably be her redemption. I don't know if you have met a particular kindred, very young looking.
Oh, Ely.
Oh, you have met her?
Hmm.
Yes.
She was trotting around my domain just a night or two ago.
Yes. Seems like a tragic story, honestly. She doesn't know much about her sire or about her condition.
I mean, what probably happened is that was an embrace of passion. The Nasai was like, oh fuck, I just embraced a kid that was actually really fucked up, and then ran away because they felt really fucking bad, not realizing that they've now just left an embraced kid on the middle of a fucking sidewalk, not knowing what the fuck to do with themselves.
Well, it's actually a miracle that she's still alive, so that she managed to stay alive for so long, and that she hasn't become, you know, given into the beast. But
Kids
Mrs.
are
Vanessa
quick learners.
was very different when Ely was there.
Oh,
I believe she has a very strong maternal instinct.
hmm.
Something to keep in mind.
And yet she's willing to send ghouls and neonates off to their deaths for uh, for an ultimately insignificant victory over the Sabat in wherever the fuck it was, like some lake.
Yes, but she's very protective of the ones she deems vulnerable, I suppose.
It's interesting. Considering Evie's actual age, I wouldn't consider her particularly vulnerable.
Oh, well, on that I agree. However, it still rubs me the wrong way, and if I was to ever find out who sired her, that person wouldn't have a very good ending, I can tell you that much.
I mean, I already volunteered to kick their shit in when we find them. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think anybody of us really, anybody here really appreciates the fact that someone went off and embraced a kid. It's probably going to end badly for that person when they get found.
Oh, yes, that is certain. In
I
any
mean,
case,
you know,
this might
maybe
be Mrs. Von Essen's weakness or her redeeming quality. Depends on how.
depends on how workable Evie is. Evie seems pretty chill, to be honest. I think we can work with her. She seems all right.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to really have much of a talk with her.
She
But
seems uh she seems on the level, but I haven't had too much of it. I haven't gotten a chance to know her like real good yet. Uh it's kind of
well,
jury's still out.
well, it also depends on how much influence her primogen has on her. I don't know if you have met the Toreador primogen. I do know him quite intimately.
I know he's a prick.
Well, I can say many bad things about the man, given that he's been my client for many, many years now.
What is your job?
I'm selling jewelry.
Anything else you're selling?
What do you want to know?
I was just curious. You know, the way you intimated. I'm just saying. I had nothing against it, by the way. Like, if that's what you're doing, okay, again, each their own. Like, good for you, but
Well, a person in my position uses what they can to have some influence or whatnot. Thing is, with this particular Toreador, my influence is very limited despite whatever happens.
I'm going to say this. I think I'm going to say you got the right idea. I'm not sure how I feel about you going after Toreador Primogen. To be honest, I'd rather oppose him directly, of like influencing him. I don't think he can be influenced to suit our ends from
No,
what I've heard about him.
he cannot be influenced to be more open to more progressive
Change.
ideas or change, yes.
Mm.
However, at least not by me, you know. But there are other members of his clan that might.
Getting a bit ahead of ourselves there.
Well, that's the thing though. What is it that you actually want?
Well, the reason I said you can have the wrong idea, or you may have had the right idea, was because, from my perspective, from the perspective of this clearly humble as fuck neonate, is that this is your archetypal weak prince who's ever so desperate. Actually, kind of reminds me of that one asshole from Chicago. Died a few years ago.
Hmm.
But you know, that guy was a weak prince. What they do is that they try really hard to project their power. I mean, I remember when I met the prince, they gave me his domain. He was trying really hard, like, because I'm like, I'm a Culligan prince, right? And he's having a fucking hissy fit about that shit. But ultimately, nothing fucking happens.
If I may, pushing for what? What do you think would have happened? I mean,
I'm
of
not.
course, if it was a Ventru,
I'm not finished, by the
something
way.
would have happened.
I mean, if they want to, try and make an example out of me, thereby proving my point that they're cunts, they can go ahead. But
This wouldn't prove anything. This wouldn't mean anything. You would die for nothing. This is not. If you want to be a
well,
martyr,
if they
at least
wanted
make
to
it
end my
matter.
life over a slight, then that absolutely sets the fucking tone for this princedom, which is not going to make them any fucking friends. And besides, frankly, they would have a hard as fuck time hunting me down if they chose to. But that's neither here nor there. My point being is that this is a weak princedom. The Primogen are going to be the people making the decisions here. The prince is merely a proxy for other powers like Catcher and whoever's higher up in the Tremith food chain, and these old motherfuckers like the Toreador Primogen.
That's true.
So, and ultimately, the prince isn't even that much of a dick compared to most, particularly for a Tremith. I'm honestly surprised. But
Yeah, I was also quite surprised.
the big problem here, we don't have a Primogen. And
Hmm.
currently, the Primogen Council seems to have a majority of traditionalists. And by traditionalists, I mean grade A pricks who just want to basically shit on everybody else so they can keep their power.
Hmm.
And they are currently in a position to just overrule most of the progressives in the city. Which, or should I say, free thinkers and individuals who aren't schmucks. So,
Well, you know that there's one thing certain about the ivory towers that they are allergic to change.
why are we part of the camera again? We'll shoot a climate change.
Because, hmm, how do I put this?
Those are a rhetorical question.
Let's say that from where I see it,
Okay.
you're where you need to be, and I am where I need to be.
I mean, I'm not sure I agree with that at all in any way whatsoever, but
Well, do you find me or people like me relatable?
what do you mean?
I mean, in all honesty, the first century of my own life, I spent it fighting human wars, not in any of this kindred society bullshit.
Oh, me, we share a backstory.
by the time I was done with all that, I was
Mm,
already I was already an ancilla. I was already unrelatable. Who would
uh,
listen to me?
I mean, your answer, you'd expect neonates to listen to you under the Camarilla system. That's kind of the whole thing. It's, gerontocratic, like the older people call the shots and the younger people, sit the fuck down and listen. I mean, not that I really do that much, but
Well,
it's the convention that I live in.
that doesn't mean that I agree with everything they stand for.
No, 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 no. You don't have to be a part of an organization and agree 100% of them. It just seems like we are the polar opposite of them, which is a bit different than, oh, I can get on board with half of what you're saying, but I disagree with the other half. There's a pretty big gap there in what you're saying and what our clan is on paper supposed to be. Not that I think we actually wrote down on paper what we were supposed to be.
Well, I guess there are some things that I agree with, and there are things that I would really be happy to see them change.
Well, before we get into that, because I never actually finished, thanks,
Oh,
is
please
that
go ahead.
obviously we need to. How long has it been since this prince taken control? It's been a few months, so everything's still up in the air. We have uh, the potential to set the tone and direction that the city's going to go in. In fact, being the clan of loud voices, we have more opportunity for that than maybe other clans. What we should be doing is we should be getting ourselves a primogen, and we should be setting an agenda for ourselves. See where the motherfuckers land, which is going to be predictable because we know where they stand already. And then when they land where we want them to, we say, look at that guy, what a dickhead he is. We use that to our advantage because we already know we just prepare the narrative in advance. But what I think we should be doing is we should be taking a less traditionalist bent in Orlando. I mean, one, the city's already in a somewhat fragile position, having just been retaken from the Sabbat and still having Sabbat running around the place. It's the year 2000. That's all. I'm just 2000. It's not the year like 1700 anymore. And we should really be using this as a chance to get less conventional kindred into the city to push that agenda and show that the world's not going to end if we make a few changes. I
Um,
think
I
I'm not
agree with
necessarily
that.
looking to change the traditions per se. I mean, one, that's a pretty extreme goal anyway, but my goal would be to deconstruct a lot of the decorum in the city, try to decentralize power away from the prince and the primogen.
So
And
what you want in essence is democracy and equality.
I mean, a more equal Camarilla would be nice. I'm just saying. And a Camarilla that doesn't just immediately try and murder Caitiff would be nice too.
Or thin bloods.
I mean, Caitiff's pretty good term for all of them because Finbloods are Caitiff by definition. Finbloods are like this weird subcategory of who the fuck knows what's really going on there, but you know what? It's fine. At least in my eyes. Most other people are like, I don't know what the fuck's going on there. Can I please shoot it with fire? Which seems a bit unreasonable. given that they seem quite intent to just, live among us and not cause a fuss, whereas the Sabbat are very keen to not live amongst us and cause a fuck ton of a fuss.
Yeah, no arguing there.
I mean, it's kind of weird how little respect Caitiff and Finbloods are given relative to the Sabbat, who literally want to kill all of us. That's kind of awkward to me. That strikes me as something of a contradiction.
Well, yeah, it's very hypocritical. Supposedly, we do not believe in all this end of the world bullshit, and yet,
Fuck. I mean, if that's the case, can't we just have Ragnarok already? At least out of a big ass wolf eating the sun. That'd be fun.
well, if it's to come, it will come. I don't think that anything we do will change that.
I mean, we're the clan of change. If anyone can change anything, it's gonna be us. In any case, I wanted to discuss these issues because it's not just the four of us. We have a few neonates running around as well. So there's a fair amount of us. But I mean, if we're all gonna have this discussion, what we need is a fucking rant. We need a rant. We need the clan to come together, and we need to discuss all these issues. Not just you and me. This is kind of like a sort of forewarning / introduction. But we need to discuss these issues, decide what we really want, and how we're going to go about doing it, and who we need to get in bed with, who we need to whose feet we need to hold to the fire, and who we just need to just punch out of the fucking way. Because I feel like, I mean, to be honest, let's be real. There have been multiple times throughout our history where we've just had to punch the Camarilla into going into the right direction. We've just had to kick its shit in sometimes, just to get the point across, because, man, these motherfuckers don't listen if you don't. But perhaps that's why they respect us a bat.
Well, I agree. The situation right now tells me that we might actually have much more options.
Yeah, I mean, we
Like,
should...
you've seen this bunch of misfits coming into the city lately, right?
Which ones? Because there's plenty.
Exactly. That could work in our favor.
I mean, yeah, like, that's what I think. I think, like, all these new kindred, they're, I mean, the prince is obviously, I think he's trying to give out some domain to get them on side, but, I mean, they can get, like, the prince isn't really our problem, it's everybody else.
Yes, I agree. But I believe that in due time they're workable. At least,
Depends on the ones that are being brought in, we could have more than a few traditionalists amongst those misfits, or motherfucking sellouts who just kowtow to whoever's in charge to, get more perks. So you need to be careful.
I know, I know. Thing is,
Arjun,
I
for
do.
example.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go there. He seems. Actually,
He's fucking catcher.
yeah, apart from that, he's perhaps the only one apart from you that hasn't tried to fuck me since I came here.
I mean, yes, because he's fucking catcher, though.
The
And besides, like,
prince does too.
yeah, don't really know what's going on there. Not sure I
Flirting with
want to
me in
know.
any case.
But my point being is that the fact that he's even in that sort of situation at all tells you a lot about the sort of person he is and the amount of power that either Catcher or the clan wields over him. Which means he ain't exactly the most reliable person to go cozying up to, because he'll probably just be feeding everything you tell him to the Tremere.
Oh yes, I agree with that. However, I wouldn't discount Katya just yet.
Catcher, I think Catcher
I
may
think she's a
be
wild
worked
card.
with. I think she can be worked with because she has certain buttons, and if you know how to press those buttons, then I think she'll be quite useful. But It kind of depends. Like, if you can't press those buttons, like apparently I managed to press one of those buttons without even realizing it. Like apparently when I helped
Indeed.
that poor chick in the eyeball, like apparently she was straight up
John,
giving me a fucking bounty. Like holy shit! Like I mean, great and all, but I wasn't exactly expecting a reward, right? Like I was just talking about how these motherfuckers were pieces of shit and probably needed their heads examined because they're fucking ghouling, fucking like rapists, like straight up like fucking kidnappers. Like what the fuck was that?
well, you're questioning whether or not the Giovanni are well in their heads?
Well, I fucking hope that Ghoul gets what he deserves. Because if not, I think that's the answer. I think that's all the answer we need, right?
Indeed.
I might actually even ask him about it at some point. I want to know what the fuck happened to that douchebag.
I think we can find out if you want.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I'll know if he comes around again, though.
I mean, I assume this was within your domain, right?
Oh no, not at all.
Well,
This
that
was
might
on
be a
open
problem.
turf.
Well, even so.
I'm within my rights to do it. In theory, if we want to play like the camera legal loophole game, I was
Well,
within my rights to do that. I can beat the shit
yeah,
out of
it was
whoever I
your
want in
domain.
theory.
It wasn't his domain. He doesn't have the same rights as we.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, it could be argued that I'm breaking the promise of 1528, but then I could argue, well, that chick was connected to me, which may or may not be a lie. So you're fucking with me.
well, as
Yeah.
long as you can maintain that lie well enough. Suppose.
I'm just hypothesizing. I don't actually intend to come to the Giovanni of that shit, but I mean, it's a stretch anyway. Like,
I don't think that it wouldn't be wise of them to try and pursue this. The wisest thing they would do is punish their goal or end them and find
it's yeah, like
better people.
wait. I mean, that's a rather blase way of saying executing a ghoul. I mean, I know he's a bit of a dick, but like, I hope he gets what's coming to him, but like, fuck,
I
like, I wouldn't
mean,
be that casual about it.
it the Giovanni.
I don't know how the fuck Giovanni work. Um,
Well, I don't want to know most of the things, but the ones that I've heard,
and then they do ghost shit,
yeah, I don't know.
and they're like mob bosses for some reason. I mean, like, I feel like that's an Italian stereotype, but I feel like their main gig is doing ghost shit. To be honest.
Well, they're quite secretive, so who knows what's true and what isn't. So,
Yeah,
in
I
any
mean, say it
case,
could be said for
this
the
should be
Tremere. No fucking can.
well.
Like, all right, well, you know what I want. I want to push for acceptance of Caitiff and Thinblood within the city. I want them to have a voice. I want them to be represented in court. Like if it takes a fucking Caitiff primogen to get to that point, then good. I would like.
You're going way ahead.
I am going. I'm just giving you an overview of what my end goals are. I'm not
Like,
saying
yes, that
I
end
intend to get
goal,
them overnight.
it could be feasible, I suppose. It will take a lot of work and time. What worries me is that
I mean,
if
time.
if you put this request, that what will be asked of them to contribute will be resulting in casualties that I don't necessarily want. You know how they work.
What do you mean? You think they just send people to hunt down the caliph? Because if you want,
No, they might say that we may accept the gate if they help us with the Sabbat, for example.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that's a step up from what they usually do. I mean, you know,
Well, that's stooping low. Like, okay, there's a
I mean,
button.
what do you
I'm
want then?
sitting
Like, how
on.
do you want to go about it? Because, like, I hear a lot of criticism, but I'm not hearing a lot of solutions.
I will first need to scope what's going on in the city. First of all, as you said, we need to get our clan together. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't mind getting the Primogen spot. I believe I can influence somewhat.
Here's the thing: even if I wanted it, I wouldn't get it because I'm too young, and they'd write me off. Um,
As I said, though, you are where you need to be, and I am where I need to be.
I mean, that's
You
again like
have
I think that's an excuse
no.
because oh,
You
how
have
convenient that you're in a position to be a primogen and I'm not. Wow, that's nice.
you're in a position that can influence more neonates. You have a voice they can hear and they can relate to. It's
I
something
mean,
I don't have.
I don't really get that though. Like, if you care about the well-being of neonates, surely you should be in some way relatable to them, right? Because you're looking out for them. Like, you only wouldn't be relatable to them if either the narrative around you was so fucking awful that they just wouldn't engage with you, uh,
But that's the thing.
or you weren't really looking out for their interests. In which case,
That's
why
the
would
thing.
they?
To them, I would appear to be awful because in order to
I
reach
mean,
certain point, I need to keep a certain image going.
how true is that though? If we're talking about the possibility of Catcher cooperating with us, I mean, she's hardly relatable, yet we seem like more than happy to work with her, and we're clearly empathizing with her on some level.
Well, I don't know
And
what to
she's
tell.
like, well, God knows how
Well,
much more than me.
well, this is just us making speculations about things that not we don't know yet.
I just don't like. Okay. I'm just going to say this. I do not respond well to the idea of saying of being told I have a place. Let me just say that, like, because that implies I'm being put there by someone else, and I'm not meant to move from that place.
Not really, no. Let me ask you something. When I asked the
Also,
prince about other members of my clan, why did he mention you and not the elder?
I don't know, but like that's neither here nor there. Like,
No, he
what
mentioned
is
you.
important?
It
What I'm
means that you
saying.
were the meaningful person for me to meet. It means that you have put yourself there.
No. Okay, no, seriously. What I am saying is you got to keep in mind the context of the character. When you're saying I have a place, like, do you know what that fucking means? Like, I'm a neonate. You know what that fucking means? That means I'm there to sit on the front lines and fucking die when it's convenient for the people who are in a different place. That's what that means. That's what
Mm,
that means when you say that. That's what that means when you say like I have a place and you have a place and your place is among the fucking cozy upper echelons of the Camarilla and mine is down in the dirt of everybody else. That does not come across as particularly like reassuring. Like, and that's a very
I'm not sure you understand my meaning.
I mean, no, that's what it means. That is what it means in the context of the Camarilla. That is what that means. But like, I'm in the place to talk to the neonates, and you're in the place to talk to the elders. Well, I wonder who's going to benefit more from that arrangement. I'm not saying we don't like. We should.
Well, my goal would be for a clan to benefit and for things to get somewhat better if possible.
I'd rather everybody with ideas that aren't based in 15th century Europe benefit. But that's just me.
And I don't disagree with that, but there are ways of going about this.
I mean, here's the thing, right? I don't think it would be a bad idea for you to be primogen, as long as you're willing to fucking push hard for change, because we're gonna need to do that. We need to set the tone, and we need to be able to hold people's feet to the fire. Sometimes we're just gonna have to say, You're being a fucking prick. Stop acting like a prick. Like, that we need to be able to do that and say that.
You know, there are diplomatic ways of saying that too.
I mean, no. Sometimes you just need to fucking be out with it, right? I get that sometimes you're right. Like the diplomatic approach is the optimal approach half the time, but the other half the time, sometimes you just need to say, "I'm not gonna fucking talk to you because you're acting like an asshole." Sometimes you say, "I'm not willing to engage in diplomacy with you because you act in bad faith, you act like a shitheel, you act like a fucking knife in my back. Why would I want to deal with that?" You know,
And if it comes to that, we can agree that yes, we can do that.
well, point is that's kind of we're already there. That's what the camera kind of does on a bi-weekly basis. But I'll trust your judgment to know when to say that, and if not, I'll punch you in the face.
Fair enough.
Look, the clan decides. The whole point of me trying to host a rant is that the clan will decide who the primogen will be. So if you want to be a primogen, feel free to step up to the podium and tell the entire clan why you should be a primogen. Because like that is your right as a Brujah. That's the whole point of a rant. You get the right to say that. So, until someone boos you off, and hard enough, I drag you off. But with the cane. But never mind.
Well, in any case, we'll talk about that after I'm
Yeah,
done with the
I mean,
raid business.
it gives you a chance to rehearse your elevator pitch. Because
I am not a salesman.
um,
Not in that sense, at least.
you know what I mean, though. Anyway,
Well, sometimes actions speak better than words.
I mean, I've done more fighting in the city than you, so like that's not really no offense.
I
But
don't
like,
doubt that. I
if
don't
they're
doubt
done by
that.
action,
But I don't want to come in here and sit on a chair and start ordering people around.
well, I mean, good. If you wanna be boots on the ground, leading from the front, I am absolutely 110% all for that. I'd support that. But like we can wait until somebody has done something, or we can just decide who's got the primogen's going to be. Because I think we should just decide. To be honest, I don't think we should wait around. We should strike while the iron's hot politically, and then you can continue to take actions while you're primogen and show everybody why you were up for the job, why you were picked, and then that will
I agree with
neutralize
that.
the rest of the camp.
However, at the moment, that raid is my top priority. I'll be leading one of the teams.
Yeah, but I mean, my rant's not going to be taking place like during that. Like, you can be primogen and do that as well. It's not one or the other.
Yes, I know. It's just the timing.
I mean,
Well,
just
in any case, are you interested in hearing about all that raid business? What was talked about during the meeting?
yeah. Go ahead.
Or our concerns? Well, we're waiting for some more intel because, by the looks of it, it looks like a major, major trap.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Like, it's weird. If you look at the map, and she will take out a map from her purse.
All right.
If you look at the map at Lake Nona,
All right.
on the east side, there's a little strip of land that connects two lakes, Lake Nona and Red Lake. And this is where they have their cabin, and they're supposedly holed up in there.
What are you saying? One sec. So you got a little strip. You mean that they are currently residing in between Lake Nona and
Yes.
Red Lake, right? Okay.
Yes. Do you see the problem?
Why is that a problem?
They're boxed in. This can't be right. It's not just shovel heads there. We
I mean,
have,
they're not boxed in. They can walk underwater. They're kindred.
or they can lure us there and pull some shit that I don't know about.
I just go under the water then.
Well, this is what I propose that we should probably approach from the lakes, from both sides.
Both sides depends. Because
Well,
if one side's late, I mean, keep in mind, unless one of you has that little mental mojo that allows you to chat with somebody else psychically, you're not really gonna know where the other person is. And this might be this is a
well, it's a
it's
bit
weird
early.
always having to explain this to people, but it's at night. It's really dark underwater.
Oh, I wasn't talking about underwater. I was talking on the water,
You mean like swim?
like a boat or something.
Oh, that
Yeah,
doesn't really give us the element of surprise.
those things exist.
Yeah, it doesn't really give us the element of surprise though.
Well, there is no plan in place at the moment. We're waiting for some intel to see what's going on. What we know so far is just there are going to be four teams and we're going to be divided in a way that not every member of one clan is in the same team.
Oh, at least they figured that shit out.
Oh, believe me, they did that for the Tremere, not for me.
But
So yes, the sheriff is going to be leading one, the two Tremere elders the other two teams, and I'll be leading the last one.
okay, but this doesn't actually answer one of the most important questions of this entire raid.
How we'll approach?
No, how many Sabat there are?
Hmm. Supposedly, they're all holed up in this small cabin.
Yeah, we know where, but how many?
Well, how many can you fit in there, I suppose? Or, I don't know how many aces up their sleeve they have.
2 packs. I mean, the Sabat tend to feed recklessly. They can fit into more places than a Kindred can because we actually, we practice, something called the Masquerade. So, uh, but I mean, it would hardly be out of the ordinary for Gangrel to be sleeping under the earth or under the lake. I mean,
And that's what
it's
we're
not
trying to find out.
it's not just that cabin. Why
To
isn't
see
someone with
how
that fancy
many
mental
there are,
discipline?
if they have backup somewhere. I mean, they can't be just sitting ducks there. They're not that stupid after all.
I
They
mean,
have
everybody has their base of operations, but I mean, here's the thing. Geographically, I don't really see this as a big problem for them. They can easily move across the water. They can just, they probably have members among their number who can literally just jump over us if we try to box them in. That's not really a problem for them. The problem for them seems to be that they're really far out of any real populated area. Like, there's not a lot of places they can feed here. Like, they'd have to go to what, like,
well,
fucking Water's Edge?
there's the golf club close by.
I mean, if I'm thinking like Water's Edge, Bush, southeast side, like, because I mean, I'm looking at because I'm looking at it and I'm just like, there's not a lot of people to feed off of here. I mean, I know they can just kidnap people and just drain the whole poor, drain the poor bastards dry, but like, doesn't really help if you don't have that many people. And how many people are actually golfing at night? Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, and that's the question. Why there? Why there?
Well, I mean, we did push them out. I mean, it's pretty clear that they don't have a lot of
Yes, but
options
this
inside the
area
city.
is out of the city limits technically. So,
I
and there
mean,
are more residential areas further southeast. So why?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking. Like there is a town to the south. I don't know, like the populated areas of Lake Nona are due south from where they are, directly south.
Yes.
So I don't know why they ain't hanging out there. But then again, I mean, I guess this does give them an advantage. Like, even though it's remote, it's not easy to find, not easy to track. If they do break the masquerade, we have to clean it up. They can disappear into the fucking lakes. That's what I see. I don't see a military advantage here for them. I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised no one's broached it of just going underwater. We can all do that. Gives us the element of surprise as long as we have as long as you have a system, like as long as you have some, like, I don't know, some fucking scuba lights so we can actually see, ain't a problem. Some of
Well,
us don't even need that.
our numbers will be probably a lot less than them.
What do you mean our numbers are going to be a lot less than them? This is supposed to be the remnants of the Sabbat. What do you mean there's more of them than there's going to be of us? We're sending in full fucking teams. How many is that? Like at least 16 kindred?
Hopefully.
Like we're sending in
But
16 to 24 kindred.
We don't know how many they are. We
And
don't
obviously
know.
they've done some shovel heading because that's what they fucking do. But
Yeah, we don't know if they're at the bottom of the lake. We don't know if they're underground. We don't know anything yet. Just know that they picked this place and they stay there.
aren't the Toreador and the Macavans and like the Tremere all good at this like mental I'm going to see everything where I shouldn't be able to see it shit? Like, why don't they just do that?
Why are you asking me?
I don't know. I mean, I just feel like
what I know
again,
is
that's something that should have been broached at the meeting.
Yeah, they've sent.
Why are they sending ghouls? Why are they not? What is it like? They can do the thing that like people who do yoga do, like the projection thing.
Yeah, there's another thing that worries me a little bit. Although I've been reassured countless times that he's being watched. About the La Sombra ex-Sabat guy.
Oh yeah, that guy. He is really fucking creepy. I know he likes me for some reason. I think he thinks I'm like him. Like I'm like I'm like a punk rebel who's he's not even a punk rebel. He's just a fucking like. I bet he thinks he's like, oh, this guy is an asshole who's out for himself too, or this guy's a social outcast or some shit.
What
like
I can tell you is that he also volunteered his own goals, and specifically, the word he used was, "I'd gladly sacrifice my own goals."
Well, yeah, he's a prick. Like I keep this guy's extra bat. He's not a fucking he's not human anymore.
I don't know. I've had a bad feeling about this guy ever since I saw him.
Look, this guy is clearly, I mean, the way he seems to treat people from what I've heard and seen, and I don't know, something, and the way he talks to me, it throws me off. Doesn't feel real, if you know what I mean. Like it feels fake, feels manufactured. It feels like he's trying to use me.
I think he's trying to use everyone. I think he's here for his own reasons. I don't think that all of a sudden he thinks, oh, the Camarilla is great, and I'm going to join them. He has an agenda that's clear. I don't trust him. I've been reassured by Mrs. Von Essen that he's watched 24/7.
Of course he is. Like any fucking, any sensible fucking domain, be it Camarilla or otherwise, would watch their turncoats carefully until they've proven themselves fussily. Like, why the like I mean, god damn it! Like like if I was a prince, like I certainly wouldn't let him go around doing whatever the fuck he wanted. He is super shady to me. I don't trust him one bit. Like he is putting his interests first, 110%. Like the way he even said it himself. Everything is a transaction. That tells me all I need to know about the man. He doesn't care. He cares about himself. He cares about favorable transactions towards himself. Like, he doesn't value lives as meaningful in and of themselves. He only values them insofar as how much he can gain from them. Which, that is all I need to know,
Well,
to
I
know that he
fear that if
values.
I get to learn more about this fellow, that I won't be able to contain my rage. So
I
I want to try and keep my distance personally.
I mean, look, if he wants to throw his ghouls away like their fodder, that's great. He's very lucky there are harpies in the city right now. Another thing, we don't have any harpies. We should see if we can get a Brujah harpy. That would really, help us out.
Mm-hmm. First things first, though.
Yeah, so I'll hold a rant, and we can talk about these things at the rant as well. Because that's the two big things I noticed. We have Primogen, so we definitely need a Primogen. We need to see if we can get a harpy. I don't want to be that guy, by the way.
Okay. Thing is, you'll have to propose someone because
That's fine.
if I do get the position of primogen and I propose my own child as a harpy, they will see it as nepotism,
I
and
mean,
I
I'll
don't like
do it.
that.
I'll be. I mean, I'll do it. It's not a problem. It depends. Really, it depends on how many fucking Brujah are in the city, um, and which ones are the most, active and successful and vocal.
Hmm.
But it's going to be a combination of all those things. Outside of that, I mean, I think we've covered more or less everything. Like, you know what I want? You seem. I don't really know what you want, other than to become Primogen.
What I want is for things to improve. I want things to be safer. I do have a neonate child myself. I wouldn't want to see him thrown in the fire, if you know what I mean. Even though I do try to push him to be his own man, I still also want to protect him. By the way, I wanted to ask you if you could show him the ropes around here.
Ropes? What do you mean? Like, how old is he?
You mean his actual age or his kindred age?
Kindred age.
10.
Okay, fair enough. I'll show him around. I mean, ten's a fair bit of time. He should, he's past his first decade now, but
Yeah, he
I'll
was.
do.
I mean, he wasn't very keen on leaving my side.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, nothing like that.
I wasn't implying that, but okay. He smiles.
But he's pretty smart. He wants to learn as much as possible before going on his own. However, I want him to be more independent. I want him to achieve things by himself. I don't
Mm,
want him to be in my shadow forever.
I mean, no kindred should exist in the shadow of their sire. What the fuck would the point be? Well, no, if anyone's doing that, that basically means they want to make that child their pawn. So,
Yeah, that was never my intention with him.
hope so.
Perhaps in time you learn more about that, but for now, if you want to show him around a little bit,
So you want
he-
the main thing you want out of this domain, like, is stability.
and peace if possible.
Well, peace, stability, and peace are often the same. This is what else outside of like a stable domain?
Well, a better future perhaps.
Again, what's a better future? What does that mean? Like, I want a better future, but it's probably not the same future as yours.
Well,
Like I told you, like I want Cadith and Thin Bloods to be represented. I want to be allowed within the city. I want
And that's perfectly acceptable
I
and
want
perfectly reasonable.
I want the camera to liberalize, become less traditionalist, to give more opportunities to allow for more opportunities for neonates to both express themselves and prove themselves and to give them a voice.
Okay, if there's one thing I want to see is more of the elders being more active instead of only showing power against those that are less powerful than them, if you know what I mean. Which is getting quite tiring.
I'm down for that. If the elders want to retain power, they got to prove that they're worthy of it. If they're just going to send their kids off to die, well, then they're clearly not worthy of it. That's how shit like the Anarchabot happens.
Well, I agree. I mean, if you're powerful, why are you afraid to step out of your office chair?
What?
Because that's what they do. They just stay in. And okay, perhaps that's the clan blood talking, but I could not, I could not stay put in a chair and just preside over people. I just, what's the point?
I mean, I can see what the point is.
Or the point is, their point is to retain power, but
Well, yes, it's a cycle, right? It is a feedback loop where it's kind of like how a lot of businesses today work. They make money they have a ton of money, and then they use that ton of money to make more money, and they just
well,
keep making money, even though that money's not actually re-entering the economy or trickling down to anybody or anything, right? It's just they just want all of the money.
well,
Like,
money is something I actually know quite well.
I mean, it's easy to get money as a kindred, to be fair. Like, I
Oh
got money, and
yes,
look at me, right?
it is.
They've even got my own office. You gestured.
Yes, that's true. However, I still work with humans. I still care for humans. And I, I try to be as fair as possible. After all, they handle things that are precious to me, so they are precious to me as well. And, well, I suppose I'm trying to be as democratic as possible in how I conduct my business, and it has been working well for me so far.
Well, good for you. I will try not to steal all of your shit.
Why would you want to steal my shit?
I don't know. I wouldn't steal something from somebody unless I had a point to make.
Well, if you need money or financial support, you can ask.
Nah, I'm quite well off right now. I just actually kind of hit it quite big thanks to Catcher just
Yes, I'm
throwing a few
aware.
million my way. So,
I'm aware.
I
So,
mean,
what are you planning to do with it anyway?
uh, I'm plan to make a club out of it.
Hmm.
I mean, don't tell anybody else that. Keep that in house.
We'll
I
keep
don't
that
want.
in the house.
Yeah, I don't want like kindred out of the clan fucking with that before it's established, right? Like I can think of a few kindred who try to fuck with me on that premise. And I have no time for it. So yeah, if we could, I mean, eventually it'll become
You don't
public,
have to
right?
worry. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I just want it to be all sorted out first before unveiling it to the public. But yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, look at me. It's obviously gonna be a fucking punk golf club, a gothic punk club. Um, it's
Interesting choice.
interesting choice. I mean, there aren't enough of them. There aren't really enough places for.
I think you'd either go one way or the other. not both.
I mean, there's a lot of overlap. A lot of overlap, Alex. Like, you'd be surprised how well some punks get along most of the time. I mean, and if they're not getting along, they're at each other's throats because one thinks they're way better than the other because they do more or less the same shit, just in a different way.
Isn't that always the case?
For Gotham punks, the style in which we do it overlaps a lot, right? Yeah. So it's, I intend to appeal to that subculture. I want to give people like that a place to interact, make it, friendly for the people of this good city who might not otherwise have representation, if you know what I mean. Run with that progressive angle and see what comes of it. You know what? If someone wants to hit out against it, I mean, the more I stand out, which honestly just helps me. So,
That's true. That's true.
like, if people want to feel outraged, I can easily feed off of that.
There's no bad publicity after all.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you know what punks do? They fucking love people getting pissed off at them. If that's one thing we love, that's people fighting, is people punching down on us. So if some asshole wants to punch down on us, we'll punch right back up, and you know what? That's just gonna get us a whole lot more fans. But yeah, that's what I intend to do with it. I have a lot of stuff going on right now.
Well, are we going to be invited to your opening?
I mean,
Well, don't get me wrong, you have to give me some dress code
just
suggestions, but
yeah. What I think you to do, so you need to like shave most of that off and brushed up into a mohawk. I think that would do.
I don't think that would work.
Why not? I think you actually have a decent look for that you'd actually, I think you'd look pretty good. Like your hair's built for it. Like your hair, your face and figure's built for it. And with that, like with those eyes, like yeah, particularly with that, like the eyeliner you've already got on, like it'd actually be perfect.
Well, I don't think that would be very uh, productive to be shaving my head every night.
Come on, man. I cut my hair every night or two. You gotta keep up variety.
I will think about it.
Just bring a proper if you want to, if you really want to wear a dress, there are some really good specialist retailers out there, both in this town and on
Oh,
the internet.
like Hot Topic. I'm not that
I
much
mean, you
of
mentioned that shit anywhere near my club when you were barred.
Fine, feel free to send me suggestions. You have my number.
I have your number, and I think you can pull it off quite well, to be honest. I think if you wanted to go punk or goth, you could do it. I think you're more of a goth gal, to be honest.
I don't know how it would fit in that.
I think you're more about screams in silence rather than screams out loud. So,
I
I
don't
think
know. I
that's
think I'm better at actually screaming loudly.
you bring like but you if you're up though with fucking if you got like connections because of your jewelry shit, like you should be able to get yourself a fine dress. I mean, that's where tailors are at, right? That's a bit of a stereotype, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, come dressed for it because I'm not wearing this shit. He kind of pulls on his bomber jacket, like it's nice and all, but it's not like a how to say, like a hardcore look, sort of. It's the sort of thing I'd wear for casual occasions. I want to come in, I want to make a fucking impression. I want to show up on that fucking stage when I introduce my fucking I'm a fucking band. I'm like, are you fucking ready? Let's fucking go and tear
Oh,
the
you have a
fucking
band.
roof off this. I'm not part of a band, but I'm gonna have a band, right? I'm gonna have a band at my club. Jesus, I'm gonna hire a fucking band. Uh, obviously we'll have the fucking hi-fi, but I mean, it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be fucking
Interesting.
real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fucking. It's gonna be fucking real. So
Well,
it's
I
gonna be.
haven't been in a punk club or a goth club in many years.
You sound like you've never been to one at all, to be honest.
Well, I've been to some early on, like early on, during the 70s.
Ah, yeah. Funny, I didn't see you there.
Well,
But
not here.
mm-hmm. Anyway,
Actually, this is the first time I'm actually staying in Orlando.
I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I've been fucking places, man. But anyway, yeah, like you want to show up? I mean,
Well,
I'm not thinking of inviting all the city's kindred, because like someone's gonna make a fucking hash of opening night. Like it's.
well, I wouldn't either, but if I don't support my clanmates,
I mean, what the
then
fuck is
what?
that? Don't come out of obligation. Come because you want to be there.
Well, I do want to see what you make of it. I want
And
to
there you
see
go.
how it goes. I definitely want to see how you combine the punk with the goth.
Hard to be honest. Again, as I said, they're kind of, in a lot of ways, they're just one and the same.
And to be honest with you, I've been in a very different world for a long time now, and I do need some changes as well. I've been.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what? If there's one thing a Brujah can do for another Brujah, it's help them change.
Well, I won't be leaving my good shoes behind anytime soon, but music wise, yeah.
You and I have very different ideas of what are good shoes.
Well, it depends on the occasion.
Yeah. All
I mean,
right.
to be fair, I've been in the business world for like the past 30 years. There are certain shoes that are required there, and
I
I've grown
know.
a taste for them. Of course, I'm not like the Tories. If I break one, I'll buy another. I'm not gonna cry over it, but you know.
I ain't judging. It's fine. Anyway.
In
All
any
right.
case, I will have my child contact you. His name is Fernan. And if there's anything I can offer you, please let me know.
All
If you need
right.
any assistance in any way,
Might do that.
I will keep you informed of what comes of the intel on the raid if you are interested in joining us. Other than that, I think that we covered everything.
I
I'll wait.
might join you, but I'm gonna have a few exit options available for myself.
I think that's wise.
I mean, like the way to be blunt, I'm gonna say it how it is. This doesn't look particularly well prepared or planned from the side of the sheriff.
It's not yet. I'm hopeful that after we get more details on what we're dealing with, that we'll be able to devise a plan that will work.
Fucking better. I'm not coming along if they don't.
I
I think
mean,
this
my
plan's
first
stupid. I'm not coming.
priority will be to keep my team alive, and that's that.
Well, as I said, we'll see. Now, oh God, we're almost out of time.
Yes, I believe I've overstayed my welcome a little bit.
Yeah, well, I prefer not to keep the cameras on loop for too long, or it gets a bit sus.
Yeah, we
I've
don't.
already kept them on loop for like a few hours now. I mean, nobody's broken it. I mean, we're pretty safe to be honest. As long as there's not people in the building, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I do have other shit I need to be doing. So, and I'm sure you have other shit you need to be doing as well.
Oh,
So,
yes. I still have to work on opening my store.
yeah, yeah. If you want to invite me to that opening night, just saying. But
Well, feel free to join. I don't know if you subscribe to dress codes, however.
not at all. But yeah, I'll be seeing you around.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you. Have a good evening. And Alexandra will get up and go to the door. Uh, do I unlock or do you?
Oh no, he unlocks for you. Don't worry. He sees you out. And yeah, as Alexandra returns to her car to return home, I think that's where you can call this scene. Thank you for playing, for just watching. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.